It's vegan recipes with Pat and Emily.
Welcome to my kitchen. And today on It's Vegan, our exciting recipe is going to be how to make sugar cookies. And Emily, I want to show you this technique that Melanie and I came up with.
Cool, can't wait. Let's get started.
Okay. The first thing that I'm going to do in this process is make my egg. And this happens to be an egg replacer. So I'm adding my water, just stirring it up a little bit, and it gets thick pretty quickly.
I've tried a couple different brands of that egg replacer and I have liked all of them.
So now I'm going to put it in with my Crisco. I'm using butter flavored Crisco. It is vegan. I'm also going to put in the vanilla and almond. I'm going to mix those together and then cream it with powdered sugar. This is the powdered sugar. And this is a recipe that we're adapting that we found online. We'll give credit below, but we veganized it and changed the process a little bit. When I'm mixing, I can hear that the sugar's not fully dissolved yet. Just scrape down your sides. You could mix this by hand if you wanted to.
Doing something by hand.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of mixing though. Way more than I want to do. Okay, so it's pretty light and fluffy.
Do you want to mix it until the sugar's not grainy anymore?
I can see that it's not grainy and it's not making that noise that it made before. Next, I've got my flour and I'm adding the baking soda to it. Now to make sure that baking soda is all incorporated with the flour, I'm just stirring it together. Now this particular recipe does not call for salt. That would be a personal preference. And I'll mix it in the beginning with the mixer, but then I'll be switching to by hand. So you can see now we need to go by hand. And I want to get all of that off. Emily, you want to mix the rest of the flour in?
Sure.
I usually have to get in there with my hands eventually.
Definitely. Oh, and I see it's going to be soon. That's why it's my turn to mix. That's alright. I don't mind getting my hands messy.
You want to make that into a nice soft dough.
I think it's time to take my ring off.
I think it is. You may have to push up your sleeves a little bit.
Definitely.
If it's not feeling soft, we'll add a tiny bit more liquid. You know, different humidities affect
Your
the
flour.
outcome. And this dough needs to be fairly easy to roll
I
out.
think we're going to need to add a little bit more liquid.
Okay.
Do you want to touch it?
Yeah, I'll touch it. But I think I can just, I'm looking at it, it's just not coming together.
What liquid are you picking to add?
I'm going to use almond milk, and I'm going to guess this is probably going to be about 2 tablespoons. And I would add it a little bit slowly to make sure you don't overdo it.
Right.
See how it's starting to hold to your fingers? Getting close. Doesn't look like that's going to form a soft dough yet, does it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So we're going to add probably 2 more tablespoons.
It smells good. Kind of smells like cake batter.
Yeah. I feel it?
Sure, I need to get some of this
Oh,
off my
I think
fingers.
this
It's
is
getting
good.
close.
This is good.
I have a lot of the wetter batter stuck on my fingers.
Yeah.
I need to get it off and mix it in.
So then see if you can form it into a ball. It's not making a ball. I think that will though. That's pretty good.
It's a crumbly ball. I don't know what kind of...
Well, I need it to stay together, but we might need to knead it a little bit. Sounds like you tasted it.
It tastes good.
And you know what? You can taste this. One thing about this, because it's vegan, you could actually eat it unbaked. I am dividing this approximately in half, and I want it to make sure that it's not going to fall apart when I'm rolling it. That feels good. I think that's going to work. Doughs don't look exactly the same. I want them pretty close to the same. Now, for the next part, I want this dough to roll out to be a 1/4 inch thick. And what I found was with this recipe, a 10.5 by 7 inch rectangle makes it about a 1/4 inch. So I'm pre-shaping the dough a little bit, patting it out with my fingers, but I will get to rolling it. You will see in a moment. And I just like this little rolling pin. It was actually, I think, a child's. You might have had this when you were growing up, Emily. Yeah, you can have a little bit of flour nearby. I don't want to put too much on there, but I don't want it to stick to the rolling pin either. Got a little bit beyond that rectangle that I drew, and I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, so now kind of pushing it back, and I will measure it. Yep, it's 1/4 of an inch. Like I said, this rectangle pretty much shapes it. Now at this point, you're going to do something that is not traditional. With these particular cookies, I want them to be the exact shape. If you cut them out now and bake them, what happens is they spread out, and if you really want the shape, it will change slightly. I really want these to be shaped perfectly. So I will bake it like this, and then I'll cut it out. So we'll be back. I've rolled out my other sheet of dough, and I decided I wanted to show you how to make like a sugar cookie, but we like the ones with glaze. So I'm going to put my ruler down here to help keep it separated. I'm using purple colored sugar because I will make these ones Easter eggs. Pushing it down just a little bit, but that is not nearly enough.
And you need to press it down so you don't lose your sugar.
If I could, I would take the lid off of this and just pour it on and spread it, but it's not designed that way. You need it really generous because these are going to puff a little bit.
One out off the day top.
Yeah.
You kind of want to like cover the top.
What do you think?
Looks good.
All right, I'm pressing it down. Now I'm going to take my ruler out and we will bake it. While the cookies are baking, I'm going to make the glaze. So this is just regular powdered sugar. This is almond milk. You could use any plant-based. I put the vanilla in there. Stir it a little bit. I'm pouring that in. This is corn syrup. I think that the corn syrup adds a little bit of a shine to the glaze. Scrape it down and get all that powdered sugar incorporated. The glaze is ready to go. That's the consistency. And I'm probably going to have more than I need because some of those cookies are going to be sugar cookies. However, I like to keep this in the freezer or the refrigerator in case I make cinnamon rolls. Okay, these have baked and they're just starting to brown. The other tray was rolled a little bit thicker, so they're still cooking. Now I'm going to start cutting them out.
How can you tell when they're done?
You press them and they indent a little bit. And because I want these to be soft, I'm not baking them further. And I'm going to keep them on this baking sheet because they're still going to bake a tiny bit longer. Now while they're hot, I'm going to press them down. I'm still going to let them continue baking. That's the other tray. It's probably ready. So just let them there. Here's a little cookie cutter that'll fit on that end part. And I thought some purple stars would be pretty. I'm going to use the crinkly side, but you really don't want to do this if they're cold. Possibly somebody in your family has been awarded a Purple Heart, so you could do a purple heart. And I'm just going to go with some stars. Whoops, that one wants to come back out. And you want to cut these as close as you can. You might be wondering, what on earth are you going to do with all these little pieces that are left over? Trust me, your family and your friends are going to want to eat them. And then, Emily, let's show this. This is the other tray. It's pushing down a little bit too much, so it's going to go in for a couple more minutes. Oh, that sugar fell off. I'm going to try to get that sugar to stay on there. And look at this cute little darling cookie. Emily, do you want to cut some different shapes on this side?
Sure.
We want to get it while they're warm.
What do you do with the circle? Just have a circle.
That could be like a Christmas ball.
Oh, smiley face?
It could be a smiley face.
You can make little face emoji cookies.
Yeah, you could. That would be a great idea. Look at these little cookies. Kind of crazy. But you could eat a dozen of those.
Oh, easy.
And I fit a little star on there. I did get a little star. And if you want to taste, you can. Oh, yummy.
Oh, now I'm broke. I'm gonna have to eat it.
You're going to have to eat it. Sorry. I'm bringing the other tray over and we can get those cut. They're barely pushing down and they're hot, so we're going to cut them up right now. Since you have to cut these while they are hot, I don't recommend you cook a bunch of trays at the same time. Like maybe 2 so you can get these cut. So these are going to cool completely and we will come back and show you how we glaze and decorate.
Are you going to take them off the tray now?
No, I let them completely cool on the tray. Now if you wanted a really quick version without cutout, you can just bake your sheet. I'm just going to cut. I like the diagonal look. So these will continue to cool like this, And then if you want to, you can glaze these, and these will be ready to eat as soon as they're cool. Okay, these are the cut out pieces from the cookies. And if you are making cookies for a special occasion, like maybe a bridal shower or party, you need a certain number that are cut out in a specific shape. These are the ones that are great for anybody who's decorating or just eating with your family. You can also crumble them up and put them over fruit or ice cream. I'm using this tool. This is actually to put into an onion or a tomato to help you get even slices and to help hold it still. You could use a fork if you don't have one. So I'm just putting this over my glaze, which I did stir up before I started this. You can see it'll just drip down through. And let some more of that drip. And now I'm going to transfer it to a cooling rack. Once this glaze is almost hardened, that's when we're going to start doing the decorations. You want to get the sides done as well. I find dipping the cookies does not work as well as this because you're really wasting a lot of glaze. You can see I'm kind of moving it around a little bit, get the glaze off. Okay, we'll be back after we glaze all of these.
Now that we have all of our sugar cookies glazed, we are going to get out our different colored icings. You can make icing if you want to. We're going to use these little tubes, and we're going to move over to the kitchen table and get my nephews to help us decorate them.
Boys, now that the cookies are baked and glazed, are you having fun decorating them?
Yeah, this is really fun.
That looks nice. Good job there. Hey boys, what's the most fun part about making the cookies? You're doing the taste test. How do they taste? Thanks for joining us.
Stop back next weekend to see what we've got cooking up.